You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show.
Another hot and sticky one.
Yeah, we are back in our podcast studio.
Which is stupidly in an attic.
Yeah, and there is a lot of sunlight trying to come in through here whilst we record. And it's another one where you can watch me sweat slowly across the product. Make sure you do find us on all social media for some of the funny stuff we put up from this week's radio show. Links to the full show are below, because that was a hot and sweaty one.
It was hot and it meant we made mistakes. Luckily it wasn't on mic, but I think I dropped an F-bomb, didn't I?
You did off air, as it were.
Yeah, off air. But it's behind the scenes, so the cameras are still rolling.
I mean, that was good fun. He never swears when he knows the mics are on. Just never happens.
It was the fact that when I realised I'd done what I did, which you can see on our socials, but yeah, you bleeped it out, but I went, oh,
F-bomb.
But it was the O that got me. It's so like realisation of like, oh, I did, didn't I? Oh.
It's sometimes like, because we do such a long recording, it's kind of funny seeing what our manager puts together to go out, because we do forget half the stuff that we've said to each other. So that
we're in the moment, man, doing radio.
Like old school radio presenter DJ things.
It's good though. It's better than any algorithm you can get.
Exactly. So make sure you do check it out for new music. Like Mike says, there's no algorithm. We take what PR send us. We take what bands themselves send us. There is a contact form on MikeJamesRockShow.com that if you're a band happening to watch this and you want to get some airplay, submit it to us. We like a full EPK with all the details, photos, all that stuff. The more we know about you, the more we can promote you, is the point.
And I listen to everything.
Yeah, so even if you don't necessarily get airtime, you are actually getting a listen from the man on the show.
The good, the bad, the ugly, and the what makes it to the show.
Exactly. But we thought, because there's been a massive PLE just before we record from the old WWE. We thought we'd just give some thoughts on that, because it's definitely got some opinions online, this particular event.
Yes, it was in Riyadh, so it's probably just as hot as in the studio.
And, I do not envy the ones that had to wear the bodysuits, because it's Saudi. That must have been sweaty.
Yeah, I was thinking, poor old Rhea Ripley, Rhea's our brother. He was in WWF, he's a nature correspondent. But yeah, the fight that she was in, what was it, against
Raquel.
Raquel. They were both in PVC, like, throat to heel outfits. It's like, oh, that's...
I mean, cover up the body, but an entirely bondage outfit is quite an interesting move, but those are the rules.
There are bondage outfits which are less. That was just full PVC.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I saw one of those funny memes where it was like all the Spider-Mans pointing at each other, and underneath it's Rhea, Raquel, and Roxanne, all pointing at each other going, did we all dress in the same thing? Of course, two of them are Judgment Day, which is why they were similar, and Rhea is just, that's her aesthetic anyway.
Yeah, she'd probably wear that on like a cold day in Alaska.
Yeah. So we delved into that one first. Now, obviously a lot of people on the interweb have said that Raquel should have got the push. But don't forget, the WWE is currently just trying to work out how long Liv is going to be away.
It's going to be some months.
That's the thing. And there's going to be
surgery.
She's only like a couple of weeks away from a PLA. You can't just build a new storyline for like two characters in response to an injury.
SummerSlam's next, isn't it? Next month.
And I think we're going to see what the next stage looks like. I think they might do tag team champions where Roxanne Perez gets the tag team champion, because they did that before WrestleMania where somebody stepped in for who went? Oh, it was Jay Cargill. She got attacked by Naomi, and that created the whole storyline that we have now, whereas Liv is actually properly injured rather than a storyline injury. So at the moment, and this is what happens when you have a product that goes out every week, week in, week out with no breaks, is they just did an absolutely awesome match between two people which I understand have been friends for a very long time away from kayfabe, because Rhea and Raquel, I think they've even got matching R&R tattoos on their fingers.
They came up through the academy type thing. They were like, roomies and stuff.
Exactly. So it was nice watching those two work so well together. I mean, that riptide off of the janky table in the corner of the ring.
What, the one that the ref had to hold in place?
Yeah.
I clocked that. And he also held the metal plinth from the steps that was on the side of the curtain.
Yeah.
He held that in place before it got tipped.
At one point that nearly came down on Raquel's legs unintentionally.
Yeah, so he kind of...
That would have been so painful to take that to the shin.
And then he gets...
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I actually just enjoyed watching a nice brutal street fight between Rhea and somebody that serves as somebody good for her to feud with, because I don't mind Rhea versus like Io Sky or Rhea versus Liv, but there is that sort of slight size difference where watching Rhea against Raquel, like that's just two absolutely strong humans battling it out for a good cover sort of thing.
It's hard for her, I guess, to find someone of the equal stature as her.
Well, this is
because Andre the Giant's not around anymore. she's a big lass, as they say in Scotland.
Interestingly, though, you could, and I think they might be working towards this, is they could put one title, like the world title of one brand, into like the Liv Morgan, Io Sky's like size people, and then you could form a slightly more like the more heavyweight style. I don't like saying that for the female titles because I think it gives the wrong impression. But you've got Jade Cargill, Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton's actually a bit bigger than like the Liv Morgan style size. You've got Rhea that can fit into that.
Yeah.
And even Charlotte Flair has been a really good opponent for Rhea Ripley in the past. So you might find that on the draft that's coming up at some point in the next few months, they might reshuffle things so that...
They're constantly adding though, aren't they?
Well, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Valker, Julia have all come up from NXT in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So you can do more with it if you want to.
But it also means that some of these ones that are a bit longer in the tooth can have more recovery time and don't, they're not, it's not like it's one in, one out.
Yeah.
They're adding more from the NXT and from their stable and then adding it on.
Yeah.
To boost the roster, not to go, we need to make up numbers because so-and-so is out. And it was, did you see the picture that came out of, I can't remember which guy it was, but they went to a wedding and they were all dressed up in the...
Jinder Mahal.
That's it, yeah.
And they brought back his the stable he had, all dressed up together, which I thought was well cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's like behind the scenes thing, that they are all mates kind of thing, and it's only in the ring rivalry. If you look at...
Not just that, but fandom rivalry, and that isn't even echoed in the ring, is fans want there to be more actual heat between...
Yeah. Talking of fans, how loud were the fans in Riyadh? And that was... Because I watched SmackDown and then...
Same.
But then we watched it at different times, and I was just saying to you, I was like, my God, that crowd was insane.
Well, they were so...
And then they cut the feed. I was just like...
I didn't cut the feed. I swear that the first 30 minutes of SmackDown not being on air was because Riyadh got so loud that the live feed just went, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a shame not seeing the pre King of the Ring promo from Randy and Cody, but...
For both nights, the crowd were rabid, and they would sing every single person's intro music, spot on, and then they'd kill the music, and the crowd would sing it for another 16 bars or so, and the wrestlers were just in the ring, just like, well, this doesn't even happen in WrestleMania, and it's a stadium kind of thing. I know Riyadh was indoors, but it was not as big as, say, playing at the MetLife or something.
Exactly.
Which is 80,000 people, and so they'll sing along and cheer as someone walks onto the stage down to the ring. But then once the wrestling's on, the crowd kind of die down. The Saudis are rabid for wrestling.
I think it's because it's still a relatively new thing to have Saudi events, so they're still just super excited. It's a bit like when you've got your first PLE in France.
It's coming up, isn't it? End of August.
Well, there was another one, I think, or it was Raw, one of the two, but the first thing in France for a few years went off. Obviously, I did Clash at the Castle, the first UK premium live event, and that was rowdy as hell as well. So if you've starved like a country or an area from having it, they tend to get really, really loud. One thing that made me laugh about the crowd being loud was when Triple H was giving the post sort of almost pundit style press conference.
Yeah, the synopsis.
Yeah, and they were chanting one more match. And he turns around and he's like, there's never going to be one more match.
He had to clarify it, didn't he?
Yeah, he's like, because if I do, I die. It was the essential point that he made.
He had to put a post out on socials about it as well. So I'm not getting back in the ring.
He can't. The operation that he had, that's not something that you can risk. Same as I was watching Cody's podcast with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's broken, isn't he?
He's got that one more bad hit could be the end. He's still pre-surgery, but what's really nice is that he, a bit like Biggie, I know that you don't know the history of Biggie, but Biggie broke his neck.
The Biggie I know got...
Yeah, no.
That's because I'm a hip-hopper.
But he broke his neck in the ring, and one of the things that both Kevin and him have said is, I'm just lucky that I live most of my life currently without pain. So...
well, yeah, you see some of the older generation wrestlers, it's like, you can tell that they didn't have any kind of
rest or
rehab or time off after injuries. You know, the guys from the 80s and whatnot. But then you think like Goldberg's coming back, and for me that I wasn't into wrestling when Goldberg was around. But I've heard the name because he's obviously Hall of Famer.
And he's been in a few movies as Goldberg since wrestling as well.
Yeah, but to come back in his 60s and to fight Gunther that's a lot younger. And
Gunther's strong style, which means that it's a lot of grappling, a lot of chopping. It's not aerial, it's not super explosive, fast moves.
Yeah.
So they've chosen a very good, because I believe it's his retirement match.
It is.
So that's a very good person to put, and I think also... like Gunther is one of those ones that can believably work an older Goldberg through a match without making it too bad. Because he plays heel as well, he can just do the, I'm walking out the ring a couple of times and pretending like I'm leaving sort of styly.
It's a bit like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson almost. Just an exhibition match, really.
Pretty much, at least wrestling is upfront about the fact it's fake. Anyway,
except for the injuries and the blood.
So let's get back to our match card, because before we had the Rhea match, we had Cody versus Randy.
Yes.
And I didn't know which way I fell on that one. I didn't know who I wanted to win, because on the lead up to WrestleMania, you had some of Cody's best promo work against John Cena, but then Randy also has done a run against John Cena, and they've done promo work. Neither of them particularly seemed to be like the big option. But also out of the other two, Jay and Sami, that were like the ones that didn't quite make it to the final, only Sami was the one that really, like, I wanted to see go on a run. But
it's about time, isn't it, really?
He's been around for a while. Kevin Owens, who he came up with, has been a world title holder. But I reckon, because obviously there was the Karrion Kross match, is I think we're looking at the sort of the start to middle part of a long storytelling by Triple H. Whereas I think the way that they want to put a title on Sami within the next year or so is that he's going to do this very earnest underdog thing that he does so well. And rather than going dark like Karrion wants him to and turning heel, is I think that Sami's going to be like the next Jey Uso that gets there by being pure of heart. Because these days, I love the balance between really good heel work from Gunther and like Karrion Kross and Cena, but I also love the matches like you saw on SmackDown, or Raw, sorry, where Jay faced Cody for the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
And then it was all love at the end, big hugs and stuff like that. That's an example for the younger wrestling fans that I think sometimes older wrestling fans forget, that the younger wrestling fans probably need to be taught that not everything ends in conflict, not everything ends with bad blood. You can have a little wrestling match or a conflict and then hug it out at the end. So I reckon they're going to put a title on Sami, but he's going to stay pure of heart the whole way there. And I reckon it will probably be the title that Gunther holds at the moment, rather than the one that John Cena holds, is I think they'll put that one on Sami rather than the Undisputed. I think the Undisputed is going to stay...
That'll go to Seth Rollins.
You reckon still?
He'll cash in his contract.
I mean, that was the smosh at the end of the match where...
He almost did, didn't he?
I mean, I know, like, people said it was a bit overbooked at the end, but I love stuff like that because...
It just got silly, didn't it?
But it needs to sometimes because they know that if they don't do stuff like that, it's just... It would be Cena having a very similar match over and over. We all loved it at WrestleMania 40 when the Smosh gave Cody the title. So why can't we love it now, even though, like, I loved Penta just coming down and doing the Jeff Hardy thing, where, Penta, if your friend's in trouble, don't do the prance, okay? Same with Jeff Hardy, don't dance when your brother's getting beaten up in the ring. I mean, come on, just run down. That genuinely made me smile, because it's a very, very luchador thing to still come out and do, like, the slow walk before run, but it makes me laugh every time it happens. Like I say, I quite like that. I think we're going to obviously see quite a short build to SummerSlam off of Cody winning King of the Ring and going to face Cena. And I think...
But what's CM Punk going to do now?
That's an interesting question.
Is he going to flip and join
I don't think he's going to...
crew?
No, I think like CM Punk is... Because they're doing so well at him being the opposite of what he was when he dropped his pipe bomb over 10 years ago, and Cena and him have done the yin-yang thing that the promo said loads is, you know, yin becomes yang and yang becomes yin. I just don't think it's worth turning Punk heel just yet. I think they're probably gonna get him involved with somebody else of a good level, like he could...
Sami Zayn?
Could go with Sami Zayn for a while, could go up against Randy. They could have a nice little mini feud. You never know, Drew could be getting past his working injured and come back, and like him and CM Punk, because there's like certain elements of truth to their storyline. They're professional and they do work well together, but Drew and CM have said many times, no, there's a lot of this which is actually real, but we're professional, so we work together. That could come back.
Well, you've also got Goldberg could actually win and stay on for a few games.
It may not be his retirement match. But also Gunther's missing a good feuding partner at the moment. And CM and Gunther, that could be some pretty incredible promo work, because Gunther says he's the best professional wrestler there is. CM Punk says he's the best in the world. And we've already seen absolute gold come out of the greatest of all time against the best in the world.
Yeah.
And I love the way that they play these characters against each other. So I could see that working for CM Punk as well as Gunther, that they could have a lovely little run together and create a new rivalry rather than dipping back into an old one. Because CM's just had that like 20-year strong rivalry with Cena play out at this match. It could carry on a little bit as well. We could still see CM trying to like screw things up. I don't know. It genuinely at the moment, but I'm quite a positive person. So rather than getting worried and angry that things aren't going the way I particularly want them to, I'm just looking forward to what the WWE comes up with next.
Stay tuned to Raw and SmackDown to find out.
Exactly.
And like we said, we're only about a month away from
SummerSlam,
and then Paris as well.
Yeah, and that's when we get the biggest gap between the big three, because it's Rumble, Mania and SummerSlam, and then there's a big gap. But that's when we get the draft and people change brands. It could be quite an interesting time. Solo versus Jacob Fatu. That was quite a funny little match.
Yeah, didn't really stand out in my mind. It's just kind of...
I'm glad that they finally put gold on Solo, because he's been so close for the last couple of years. Since, funny enough, the Clash at the Castle I watched in the UK, where he actually came onto the main roster. But I love this version of Solo. I love the sort of guy that does that, because he did Sirius after Roman lost the title and tried to be the Sirius bloodline, like sort of tribal chief. Whereas I think Solo is one of the funnier people on the card. Just let him cook, you know? His promos these days are so much better than they used to be. He's really good at just being like the douchebag sort of person that he is as a character. So as champion, I can see him pulling off a couple of good promos, and then they're just going to put the championship on somebody else again.
Yeah, it's always going to change, isn't it?
Just thinking about it, because our US champion reminded me, do you know who would be quite a good person for CM to have a little feud with? LA Knight. They don't even need a title to make that interesting. because LA's been the US champion. He's getting major pops at the moment, and they might put him against CM to see whether people like him at that higher level. Because when he first came in, he went up against Roman, and that was just one that for Roman to win as part of his title reign. But it did work quite well. People like seeing LA Knight at the top of the card. And one thing which a friend of mine, shout out Ollie, once said, you can tell when people are preparing for a championship run, because there is that old school wrestling thing that you got to look like a champion. So LA's got even more ripped and shed even more body fat. He's like gone, and now he's back to being like unbelievably super hench again. Like basically LA Knight, you look like a superhero.
Before it's time for bailouts or retirements and stuff.
Exactly. So that could be a lovely feud between him and CM, because they don't have to have a title or anything, but they could just feud because LA decides that he doesn't like the fact that CM calls himself the best in the world. There's a lot of movement that you could make on a storyline like that if you wanted to. I think that's almost most of the match card, apart from Queen of the Ring, which was a bit clunky, a bit janky.
Especially that ending.
yeah. But what I want to reference is actually things I've learned from Goldberg and Braun Strowman. Is Jade Cargill is learning in the ring as she goes. Like that's always been like, she came in, I think, with not the highest amount of experience. And if you see that the way that they've built her is they put her in a tag team for a while, got her used to it. And me and the manager that we watched this with, Heidi, we've seen and commented quite a lot just watching weeklies that to begin with, she was super clunky, strong, but just like, it was like, I'm doing a move, the move stops. I'm thinking about the next move, I'm doing that move. She's getting a lot better than she was. But
someone should tell John Cena that, because you can see him like...
Oh, he has to think these days.
He has to think, and then he communicates with hand gestures to whoever he's wrestling with.
I mean, the hand gestures are a part of the thing anyway, but no, John has actually come onto Stephanie's places, and he said that he needs to retire soon because he's lost all of that, what you're talking about there, where he's now clunky, because he's lost strength, he's lost speed. And when you lose strength and speed, you're obviously going to lose a little bit of confidence, and that's why his matches are paced a bit differently. I don't mind though, because I just like watching John Cena act the way he is currently. I think it's brilliant to watch the guy that was made to smile for 22 years by the establishment, let's put it that way.
Well, it's where he went and to shake hands at the end, and it was that same look that he had in his eye that just before he kicked Cody in the nards.
But CM being CM, grabbed his foot.
He knew what was going on. Yeah,
perfect, absolutely.
Oh, I've seen that look before.
Yeah, so well booked. But I have no problem with Jade being Queen of the Ring. No? Like, Asuka clearly is a very deserving wrestler, but to me it didn't make sense for somebody to return, go straight through the tournament,
to win.
And then win the...
it was like... Well,
she was a good one to serve up to Jade.
Because like, I'll have a year off and I'll come back and I'll just bosh straight in.
We've got a manager theory on this one.
Oh, yeah.
That Naomi's going to cash in on Tiffy and get the title off of Tiffy before SummerSlam, so that Naomi gets her wish of fighting Jade, because that's like where that storyline has been going for such a long time. And I reckon that would be quite a match between those two, because Naomi is pretty much flawless with her in-ring technique. She was one of the ones that helped Jade as a tag team as well. I can imagine that because you see people's confidence get raised up when they work with somebody really, really good. I can see Jade becoming that championship level by working with a couple of people like Naomi one-to-one. And I think it would build eventually where you have Rhea versus Jade, and aesthetically they're the opposite, because Jade tends to go with the light colours and like really shiny and like it's all sequiny.
Well, she went to Storm, didn't she? For this week.
Exactly. That against Rhea, that would be those two being absolute like.
Well, that's yin and yang, isn't it?
A little bit, because you've got Rhea that's always in black bondage stuff, and Jade that's always in like the light sequined stuff. I just think it would work really, really well, and I think Rhea would also raise her confidence up, raise her skill level up, because she's that good. And then that would be a lovely pass on from when Charlotte Flair raised Rhea Ripley up to world title, so on and so forth. I think it would be a really good little feud. So I don't think there's much we can predict at the moment, because they haven't really clarified, apart from weeklies, what matches we have coming apart from Cody versus Cena. I'm going to put it out there now. I still don't think that Cena's going to lose until near the end of his retirement run. Because otherwise, what does he come out and say? He's not going to be like, oh, the last couple of dates, oh, I lost. Shit.
Well, like I was saying a while back, wasn't it, that I think Seth freaking Rollins will take the belt off of Cena in this very last fight. He'll cash in then.
It'll either be, because I think the Cody storyline I was thinking about is now not going to happen based on the match booking that we had at Night of Champions leading into SummerSlam. But I think you're right. Cena's either going to win his last booked match against somebody like Roman Reigns or somebody like that, win it, and then Seth comes to take the title off him after he's just won.
Yeah.
Or Seth's going to do what he did last time with the Money in the Bank one, where he's going to come in and make it a triple threat match and potentially pin John Cena's opponent to take the title off of Cena, so that Cena could still retire as never actually having lost because he didn't eat the pin.
Well, it all depends if the referee's conscious or not.
I mean, shout out to Charles, R.I.P. off of that shoulder check into orbit.
He's not really dead.
But I love him so much because he's been doing like such believable ref work for nearly 20 years now, but he's been drinking the Paul Rudd Kool-Aid because he doesn't age. Like, he hasn't aged in 20 years, or at least doesn't look like it.
No, it does look like he should be in like Miami Vice or something like that.
It's a bit like Michael Cole. Michael Cole has been a permanently middle-aged man since he was about 20 years old. However, Michael Cole, if you happen to watch this, bring back the goatee and the frosted tips, because I think that would just be hilarious. But don't bring back the wrestling attire, because genuinely, I admire him for coming out in something that looks so awful, but we don't need him in like the proper head protective gear.
Like high school wrestling.
Yeah, the really uncomfortable outfit. I don't think that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But just before we wrap up, we love doing a little bit of research into internet opinions. Rather than letting us rely on Facebook groups and Twitter stuff, let us know in the comments. Who do you think's going to be at SummerSlam? What matches do you think's going to happen? What do you want us to give an opinion on? Because we're very excitable wrestling fans. We're both quite admitting that mine has been about 3 years. We're getting super into it, and you're in the last year.
6 months since it's been on Netflix.
You're a Netflix fan. But it makes sense, because in the UK it was so difficult to get hold of that it was really difficult to enjoy if you can't stay connected with it.
It's just a soap opera with some burly people slapping each other.
Yeah, a soap opera with very, very ripped bodies.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, no.
No.
But some.
Yeah.
But yes, where do you think Solo's... well, I don't want to call it New Bloodline, because that kind of takes away from Roman's
blood. Online.
Yeah,
the Bloodline 3.0.
Bloodline 3.0. Who do you reckon's going to go off against it? Is Jacob Fatu going to team up with the Usos? I mean, is Cody going to win at SummerSlam? We could be completely wrong, and Cena could just spend the last few dates coming out, dropping the microphone, flipping off the crowd, and then walking out again. You never know.
He gets his Benjamins either way, doesn't he?
He really does get paid either way. A bit like it was fantastic at SummerSlam with Punkonomics. Loved Punkonomics. Where he didn't have to say anything. He just needed to do that from time to time and got cut a massive check.
Yeah, was that like on SmackDown where he came in and he looked like he was a Fred Durst ripoff?
Well, that's because, to give you a bit of back history, maybe not knowing that, Thugonomics was what John Cena did in his early career.
Yes.
And that's where Word Life comes from. And Punk, because Cena had ripped off Punk's pipe bomb that made him leave the company over 10 years ago, they just decided to flip it back and have Punk rip off Thugonomics with Punkonomics. And shout out to Punk. I know from doing presenting, and I don't stand in front of like 20,000 people, is rather than blast him online for tripping over his words, CM Punk's not a rapper, and the fact that he managed to get through most of that rap and only drop like a syllable or two, I genuinely was impressed with the guy and his ability to recover and get back into the rap. But it's because Punk's not meant to be a rapper. He's a punk. He's a punk.
He's a straight edger.
He's a straight edge punk. So yeah, going back to it, just let us know in the comments anything that you think's relevant. Wrestling fans, destroy my opinion if you want. I'm quite up for it. It's just my personal thoughts. I'm not saying that this is the way it should be or anything like that. Apart from one thing that should be is Facebook pages stop being so damn negative. It really gets on my hair, like, because they keep coming up in my algorithm, and everything is just so complainy and negative.
Well, don't read the comments.
No, this is the main post, not even the comments. Yeah, it's pages just clickbaiting negative stuff. Like, that was good in Vince's era because Vince nearly destroyed wrestling. But it's not good now. We've got good storylines, we have builds. Be positive. That's the whole point of it.
What a great way to end the podcast.
I think so. We'll see you next week. We haven't worked out what we're going to do yet, but there's
Yes, we
plenty.
have.
We?
Yeah.
Trees.
We're at we've wrapped up download. We're now
Heading off to 2,000 trees.
yes.
And we got you for even more time.
I know.
This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So next week will be our 2,000 Trees hype show. And if you don't know what 2,000 Trees is, then you must tune in next week to find out what it's all about.
Yes, we're teaming up with the Forestry Commission and going to be talking about
We're going to go prune some redwoods.
prune redwoods.
Yeah.
Well, you're tall enough to do that.
And we got our manager pruning a bonsai tree instead. Yeah. So yeah, we will see you next week for 2,000 Trees hype.
Peace out.
Nice. Thank you for watching our little discussion about Night of Champions. Like we said in the main podcast, let us know below what you think, what opinions you have, who you want to see get a push, all of that type of stuff. And if you comment, we'll probably talk about it. We've got quite the exciting From the Vault coming out later this week. Massive trigger warning for that one. It goes into some very serious stuff about mental health and suicide. But we're very proud of this one, so make sure you tune in for that as well.